Mr. President, I want to take a moment as well and talk about a project that is already in this very important 2010 Transportation HUD Appropriations Bill, and want to commend the committee chair, subcommittee chair, the senator from Washington, and the ranking member for their good work on this bill. And this is a certain amount of celebration in this bill for those of us in the greater Washington region, because this Transportation Appropriations Bill is actually the culmination in many ways of an effort that has been ongoing in the greater Washington area for close to 50 years, Mr. President. Mr. President, even when your dad served in the other body, one of the things I know he probably had to experience was when flying in to our region, particularly flying into Dulles, he might find it difficult to get from Dulles into greater Washington. And one of the most remarkable things that has always stunned me as a Virginian and as a longtime resident of the National Capital Area is that we have never had a rail or metro linkage from our international gateway airport out at Dulles into our nation's capital. Well, with this legislation and with actions taken earlier this year, we finally have in place a financing arrangement and beginnings of construction for the long overdue Dulles Metrorail project. The Dulles Metrorail project is part of a 50-year planning effort that started actually with the construction of the Dulles Airport. And throughout that whole time, there was always reserved for anybody who's made that drive in, and I know you've flown into that airport many times, Mr. President, has seen that corridor in the middle of that road that's been reserved for ultimately building out rail, the existing Washington Metro system, to include out all the way the extension to Dulles. This is a project that my predecessor, John Warner, worked on for years. It was, I know, one of his proud accomplishments, finalizing the federal support for this project. I want to commend his efforts in the past. It's a project that I've been involved with for over 20 years. First, when I was on the Commonwealth Transportation Board, when we had to preserve that corridor for ultimately a Metrorail project. I recall back in the late 80s and early 90s efforts to try to take away that right-of-way so that it could be used for additional highway construction. And there was always a need to say, no, we've got to reserve that. At some point, we will finally get Metrorail. We'll finally get rail to Dulles. This has now become a reality. It was a project that I worked on as governor as well. There were a number of times as we tried to put together a very complex financing arrangement. Could we make sure that all of the partners, state, local, and federal, would step up to the plate and do what was right, but also do what was terribly important to the National Capital Region, making sure that our international gateway airport is linked to the nation's capital. Well, I'm proud to report that earlier this year in March, Secretary LaHood and former Senator Warner, myself, Governor Kane, Congressman Frank Wolf from the other body who's been a longtime supporter of this project, we got together and we signed the final funding arrangement that committed the federal government, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and our local communities on this critically important project. And it is needed for a variety of reasons. It's needed, obviously, not only to link international passengers and domestic passengers who come into Dulles with our nation's capital, but this corridor has rapidly become the economic hub of all of Northern Virginia. Dulles Airport currently serves about 24 million passengers each year. Population in the Dulles corridor is expected to increase by 50% and employment to increase by 47% by the year 2030. And Mr. President, as someone who I know you travel that corridor on a regular basis, you've already seen how it's been built up over the years, and that will continue to be the expansion of a great deal of economic activity for all of Northern Virginia and for actually all of the Washington area, particularly in the high-tech sector. So the fact that this past March, the full funding agreement was signed, $900 million over a period of the whole project was committed from federal funds. But let me make clear that it's not only the federal government that's stepping up on this critically important project. The Commonwealth of Virginia is committed to be a major partner in funding. The localities have stepped forward in terms of funding. There's been some very creative activities in terms of actually creating a special taxing district of our local property owners in the region who will benefit from this Metrorail extension. They've got skin in the game as well. The state is contributing some of the toll revenues from our toll road in the corridor. So this is a project, even during these difficult economic times, where the state, the localities, and the federal government has stepped up in a major way. So it will be enormously beneficial to our whole region. It'll be enormously beneficial to the Commonwealth. It'll be enormously beneficial to our nation's capital in terms of the millions of visitors who come in from all over the country and all over the world. They'll have the opportunity not only to take one of those ever-increasing expensive cabs, but also just simply jump on the train and come into Washington. There's also another very important reason for continuing this project, and that is that the Dulles Corridor Metrorail project is an important multimodal project with critical homeland security ramifications. Expanding Metrorail into the Dulles Corridor is terribly important in terms of evacuation opportunities should our nation's capital ever be under assault. It is obviously terribly important as I mentioned, in economic development activities. It's terribly important in terms of tourism activities. It really is, this project is crucial to the well-being of the whole national capital region. Matter of fact, earlier today, Mr. President, I was out in Tyson's Corner, one of our major development areas, on the way out to Dulles Rail, and while we were caught in some pretty dreadful traffic, there was a little bit of a mixed blessing. Part of that traffic was because construction has actually started on some of the rail stops in the Tyson's area that will ultimately relieve not only traffic congestion, and obviously relieving that traffic congestion decreases the amount of greenhouse gases. So this Metrorail project has added benefits as well on an issue that I know is very important to the President and the Chair in terms of dealing with climate change. So I know there are others in this body that perhaps have raised questions about some of the projects that are included in this 2010 Transportation HUD Appropriations Bill. I stand here and saying this is one of those projects that I can't imagine anyone being critical of. This is a project that has been 50 years in the making. Enormous time, effort, and resources have gone into it. The fact that the final funding agreement has now been signed, we actually have broken ground. It is a time to celebrate, and the $85 million that are included in this year's appropriations funding for the down payment and first installment of what is going to be a critical federal funding stream is a very, very worthy project that is going to have benefits to this region and to our capital for many years to come. And I want to, again, commend the chair of the Appropriations Subcommittee, my colleague and friend, the senator from Washington, for her great work on not only this particular Dulles Metrorail project, which I believe is as I know, is a frequent flyer in and out of Dulles. I hope that she'll get the immediate be a beneficiary of as well, but to all of the members of her subcommittee for their good work on this bill, this important project, and the many other projects that are in this legislation. Mr. President, I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.